Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we are in Berlin Brawl Cup right now, and we just finished up day one. So we're going to be going through the best game of day one, which was definitely early round versus Zeta. A lot of the other games were probably, I don't know, there was a lot more to be left desired. I don't know, some of them were like sweeps, some of them just gameplay wasn't the most serious, but this one was definitely the sweatiest of them all. So again, big shout out to all you guys that are in Berlin as well. Thank you for the photos and everything like that. But let's lock in on the gameplay right now. So a lot of these drafts have been throwing me off a little bit. And normally I'm good at predicting the drafts, especially as I go along. But because of the global bans, I'm a little bit thrown off. So I'll skip through the draft a little bit here. We go Patchy with Mortis first pick, which again, Mortis is good, especially as a blue star brawler, but first pick, I don't know, maybe they're scared of Zeta getting their Mortis. And then again, I'll skip through it a little bit. So the Bell and Jae Young. Jae Young is a great brawler in a hideout. Also good at just overall pressure, especially if the opponents get a blue star brawler. Jae Young's a great counter. So I don't know why people don't just pick Jae Young more. Bobby responds with a Gus, and then they respond with a Crow as well. So Crow is a good counter to Jae Young, and they're probably anticipating like something aggro last pick. And, you know, Crow's just a good filler brawler. And then they go over RT. So RT, again, is just textbook East Asia pick because they're so mechanically gifted. Any sniper you give them is a tremendous advantage. So, moving on to this first set, I'm trying to remember how this really went here. Sans, of course, picking up the blue star. But, you know, once you get blue star, it's kind of hard, especially on all of these brawlers. You've got, if the Bell's disciplined, it's going to be hard to pressure the Bell. You got Jae Young, constant speed. You got RT, who has an abundance of health. So Sans does pick up the early kill. Batman was looking for the trade there, but instead Patchy does overextend. Then Bobby gets the trade out as well. So far it looks good for early round. Also, just talking on like the context of things, I predicted early round. Quite a lot of people I spoke to as well predicted early round as well, because they've been looking a lot better in scrims, and overall they won their pre-Brawl Cup tournament, right? So they were looking pretty hot. But yeah, we'll see whether that correlates to gameplay. I don't want to ruin anything with this video. So Sans goes for the kill right here, but that was where the mistake, because now Patchy jumps in as well. Those two questionable plays. I mean, Sans wasn't the worst, but then Patchy following after, definitely a bit of a misplay there. Maybe it's just first game nerves or whatever else, but yeah, a bit of a mistake. So now the lead going to Zeta, but with a brawler like Bell, constant traps, it's really hard to push down her lane. So you can see probably earlier on we're looking to try and advance, but it's going to be more so down the left-hand side. Again, like Suzuka's just been tapping on RT. He got hypercharged so fast. And the second that anyone goes in close, like Mortis here, is going to get the kill. He's going to easily get the kill onto Patchy as well. That hypercharge is so broken. I think most players would have really struggled to get an RT hypercharge, but Suzuka was doing pretty well. If you see Lana in the background, by the way, just ignore her. She's trying to creep in. But anyway, Sans tries to get the chain there, but it's just too little time, too much to do. And I don't know, that does look really convincing for Zeta. I think it's tough, especially on tournaments, to play these aggressive brawlers. You know, Sans not doing a bad job. It's just when the pressure's on and when you're facing such a mechanically gifted on a really open map, it's kind of hard to beat out Zeta. But then again, like, you need to be doing like not cheesy compositions, but you need to be, I don't think you can go toe to toe with a team like Zeta or Crazy Raccoon on those range brawlers. So you've got to make it a little bit messier. So Patchy does get traded out right there. So again, the Crow, I don't know. Again, obviously it was probably picked to make sure you don't get counted out by a certain brawler or more aggro. But I don't know, the Crow pick's not really getting the most value, it seems. I mean, he's decent in hideout, but you can definitely see just how squishy he is. And you can see even the best, like Suzuka's getting a double tap in there. He's just tapping everybody. And Batman's going to find the kill. He's maybe going to get traded out, but actually not. All three members of Zeta pinched together really well. And it's just hard for early round to really get anything going because their win condition is just absolutely mortis. This Crow eventually wants to get a jump, but in Bounty, you've got to be able to get out as well. As an assassin, it's hard to get out with the stars if, you know, the other players from Zeta are going to trade you out. So again, Sans goes in, he's trying to build up his super and maybe his hypercharge for the late game, but 9-star difference, it's kind of looking over at this point, right? Because, well, we need to get both Batman and Titan. But I mean, late game Bounty, it can happen, but it's just looking like a miracle needs to happen right now. I don't even think this is like absolute draft diff. It's just, I don't know, Mortis is just finding a really tough time to actually get any value. And Batman's playing such a good Jae Young. So Tampo gets 2 taps in there. Sans manages to get out, so they can actually just get the kill on Side Tampo here and win the game. But whether they can do that or not, I mean, the RT Hypercharge against Suzuka doing such a good job. Again, it's not even the most favorable matchup. Like Gus into RT, Gus is really good into RT. You've got Crow into RT as well. Like Crow's faster movement speed, harder to hit. And Suzuka's been doing such a great job. Bobby gets 1 kill, gets 2, but it's just too little too late again. And yeah, early round just not really in that set, in my opinion. So that's the first set. Let's jump into the next one. Right, now into set number 2, we've got Deathcat Trap Gem Grab. So Chester first pick from Zeta. We see a lot of Chester right now because with Chester, you can play as a mid and a lane as well. So yeah, he's been dominating right now. We also see a Shade ban, which is probably to target Sans, and Shade is just really good on this map anyways. So if we go to Stu, if I was playing early round, I'll definitely be target banning the likes of Stu, you know, Shade on Sans. These are the types of brawlers that they're playing all of the time, no matter what. It seems like Patchy is just playing Stu non-stop. Yeah, I mean, Stu is good in this meta, but I feel like when you play a brawler that much, I think it's very evident in your scrim data that Stu has its clear weaknesses, right? Like you've got pets, you got aggro as well, can be pretty good into Stu. So if we go Stu Ruffs, straight away I was a bit like, Stu Ruffs, that can definitely, I called this out, this could definitely get counted out by aggro, and Mortis is available. Zeta do go Mortis, which was very evident. It's a clear counter again against Olaram here. The other problem is that Olaram have the last pick, so Zeta can't go too heavy on the tanks and the assassins here. So yeah, Mortis is really good into Ruffs, one of the best counters for sure, because you can just 2-tap and gadget with ease, so squishy. So Zeta are going to respond with a Penny. Penny's good into Ruffs, good into Stu mid as well, fairly decent, and just overall a well-rounded comp. But with Penny, you are vulnerable as a gem carrier because she lacks DPS. I mean, you got a Salty Barrel if there's like an assassin that gets on top, but you'll see here that Olaram go with the Trunk. So Trunk is a very only round brawler. I think this does make sense though on this map, because on this map you've got a lot of walls, and Trunk is a great counter to Mortis. The only thing is that Mortis is just really mobile, and especially on a map like this, you're just able to dash in, just get some pressure. But Bobby's doing the exact same here. The problem is he's feeding a lot of Penny turrets and feeding a lot of Chester. So basically what Gem Grab is at the moment is just about who can gain their utility a lot faster, who can gain their hypercharge faster, and who can just make an explosive play onto the Gem Carrier. That's how most games go, to be honest. So Bobby does go in here, doesn't get much value though because both players are pinching him out. It's interesting to go in Chester mid at the moment because I'm going to go in Chester mid because they're scared of Bobby getting a kill onto Chester, because Chester's safer, right? You've got more HP, a better way to defend yourself here. So it's again interesting that Bobby's just forcing a lane matchup versus Penny. Penny already has hypercharges, so yeah, Bobby's just not been having a good time. I think the problem here with early round is that they think they can probably pinch out this Mortis a decent amount, but at the same time, that might be the strategy though. It might be the strategy just to get Sans to give Bobby the hypercharge and then use Bobby's hypercharge to win the game. I think that's probably, after rewatching that, at first I was like, why not swap in lane? It's probably because Ruffs is really, well, yeah, Ruffs is going to get countered by the Penny, right? So he's probably just, getting a bad matchup, and then as the game goes on, it's going to be much better for Bobby. So Bobby can easily deal with a Penny turret if he just hits a couple of critical shots, and then he has hypercharge. So Trunk hypercharge can just absolutely shred through anything. Patchy on Stu is just absolutely insane, by the way, like full glaze. I can see why he just picks this brawler into anything, because a good Stu can really make things work. So hypercharge is popped by Bobby just at the end, and he manages to sneak that kill as well. Suzuka goes down as well. And after, Bobby just getting destroyed the whole game, it just takes a 1 hypercharge. I mean, that's just how unserious Gem Grab is at the moment. It's just, that's why I always advise guys to play a Gem Carrier that's actually safe and can defend himself a little bit. I mean, Chester can, but still, they had to be caught lacking for 1 second, and then Bobby could just capitalize. So we'll skip through here a little bit here. So So much better from early round. You'll see as well, Bobby gets the matchup on a Mortis, which he should be able to win most time. I guess that's why they picked the Trunk, because Mortis just can't really do anything into Bobby. He does mess up his super timing though. So that's definitely going to hurt him, because with any tank or assassin, you want to cycle your super as much as possible. The second you're without super, look, he's not really a threat. So he's just constantly getting pinched down. He's just kind of just there and existing. But if he wouldn't have messed up that super, he could have then like pounced onto the Chester maybe. But again, just even having your super is just a threat to the opposition. So you can see here, Bobby has to fall back because his teammates are just getting absolutely wrecked by the Mortis, but they're obviously going to because it's Stu and the Ruffs. So now Zeta got a clear advantage here. So Bobby needs to try and work his way onto the Chester, but he's constantly getting pinched out himself. Again, a bit of a, I mean, I'd probably use that super just to get closer, but, you know, Chester with his crazy damage output, I don't know whether that was the worthwhile play, but now Zeta hypercharge on Chester, and there's not much that Oleron can really do here. So Patchy has his hypercharge, but hypercharge Chester's just going to delete Bobby. I mean, it's just quite clear that Trunk's only use is literally just make an explosive play with his hypercharge. So yeah, not much really happens here, if I can remember. So, I mean, no, actually, Bobby does get a kill, but yeah, there's just no way they can get these gems out of spawn. So we're just going to spam through this here. Actually, no, wait, let me go back. I nearly ruined that. We do actually get the gems out. What am I talking about? Bobby does get a few of the gems out. Patchy's doing such a good job of staying alive in the top corner. And then he eventually gets taken down by the penny turret. But yeah, it's just really hard in gem grab just to get the gems out of spawn safely here. Bobby's going to get pinched down. And there we go. I mean, we just need one more gem actually in the middle, but Suzuku doing a great job. That's going to be all members down. And there we go. So sorry, I was a bit too quick on skipping right there. I just didn't believe in that position that they could come back from that one at all. So yeah, Bobby gets the kill onto Mortis again. It's impossible from Mortis to really kill a Trunk. So most of the time, Mortis would just like dash through the Trunk, get some supercharge, get some hypercharge charge, and that's just about all they can do there. Side Tempo getting pinched down. San's playing an amazing Ruffs, by the way. Literally against Mortis matchup, he's been feeding a lot of hypercharges to his teammates. But again, Suzuku's just been annoying in the spawn there. Not really doing all too much, but he's getting some pressure. He's forcing Patchy back for the pinch. So now they can advance forward here. Sans is going to get that turret down, but in the meanwhile, he's still going to feed a lot of penny, and Mortis just going to take him down regardless. Bobby's going to get poisoned. So again, the Trunk pick is just, I don't know, there's been one play in 2 rounds. Maybe another assassin or something probably would have got like more guaranteed results. Maybe even a Fang. I've seen a lot of Fang being played in gem grab, but again, you've got to pick your comfort picks a lot of the time. So Bobby preemptively pops his gadget here, does get a kill onto the penny. So things are still somehow looking good for early round. To think after all this pressure, I have no idea how they've been still in this game. I think it's just a hats off to Patchy for even picking like 6 gems up to their 7. Again, I've not really noticed too much of early round pressure in the opponents. It just feels like the whole control is Zeta, but they've not been managing to pick up another gem, like the gem on early round side there. So Bobby goes in, gets the hypercharge onto the Chester, and this is just the #1 rule in gem grab. If you're Mortis and you pick up the gems, it's game over. Like, it's actually game over, because now Mortis can't create pressure, and now you've just got a non-generic gem carrier. It's just not good. So the second I see that, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's GG. That's been a code for a disaster the entirety of Brawl Esports. So everything just gets wasted there. And yeah, early round managed to win that. So I think it just literally came down to Trunk's hypercharges clutching up the games. He literally just didn't do anything else other than those hypercharge plays. So yeah, fair play to early round to somehow manage to get that one out of the bag. Let's jump into the next one. Jumping into set number 3, we have Gold Arm Gulch Knockout. So they've got the Pierce for Bobby, which is looking good for them. Not much that can really do that great into Pierce. Probably, I'm trying to remember the draft. Was it Ruffs that's good into Pierce? Yeah, Gene's pretty good into Pierce because Pierce can't defend himself against any pulls or anything like that. He hasn't got a getaway. He's got a knockback, but yeah, no getaway. So Gene can be good into snipers because Gene can outrange them and again push it up. So going to go with an RT. Again, that's very standard for East Asia knockout and bounty, just to go RT pretty much all the time. It's a comfort pick, but it's also pretty good and pretty hard to counter here. So I feel like maybe early round would have surely known that Zeta would go something like this. So they're going to go with the roughs themselves. I think maybe if I was Zeta, I think maybe like a roughs and an RT or something like that would have been maybe a bit better. Because with Pierce, I think you need some type of pets or, like a Charlie, roughs. These types of brawlers that counter Pierce even harder, especially a first pick. So I'm going to go with a Colt. So this is a very NA pick, and especially on this map, but it just seems to work for whatever reason. I don't know why it works so often. I guess it's because with Colt, you can open up the map. It's just good for the lane system. Again, I need to be trying out more myself because I only see NA pick this. I remember, I think it was early round versus Tribe. I can't remember the top of my head. But it was that clip where there was a Colt and the gas was closing. It was just really hard to hit players, especially of Zeta's level with Brawl like Colt. So it takes... I don't know, it takes something to pick that brawler. So we're going to go with Brock because they could have easily picked Brock themselves. I guess they probably went Colt because at least with Colt, you can somewhat defend yourselves against aggro. If they go like a throw as well, you can open up the map. You can be very versatile in your build with Colt. So yeah, let's lock in here. So I don't actually remember watching this set too much. So it'd be good to rewatch this one. Patchy just gets absolutely deleted in the first round. Yeah, I don't remember watching that bit for sure. I think I've missed the first set, so it'd be nice to see what really goes down here. So I don't imagine that early round we're going to claw this one back. I think here, Sam's just going to try and build up his super, but I guess, are you really going to clutch a 3 versus 2 at this point? I guess you just got to try and build up your supers yourself whilst not feeding the gene. That's probably going to be the end goal here. But yeah, 2 people from Zeta already got their supers, which is just hilarious. Again, if you're early round, you just want to be building up this Pierce super as much as possible. So I guess that's why he's pushing up here, because the Pierce super pretty much guarantees you a kill in knockout. That's all you kind of need. So yeah, Sans is going up, but he's just not getting any supercharge whatsoever. And I think, yeah, they're just going to concede. There, I keep getting flipping YouTube ads. I don't know what is going on. I never get them normally. All right, but yeah, going into this round, I mean, we just need to not get clapped at the beginning of the second. Someone falls, especially early game. It's early game that hurts. If like a roughs or someone like that goes down super early, you're just not going to clutch back unless you've got, I mean, if you got like a Pierce super or something, maybe. But yeah, Zeta just weren't giving them any utility whatsoever here. So you can clearly see here, Brock wants to match up versus the roughs. Yeah, Brock would just clearly outranges the roughs here. He's going to break open the map as well. Gina's pull here. Roughs thankfully has a treat for Bobby. That's going to allow Bobby to get even more damage with his super here. So yeah, Stan's got to be a little bit careful of his gene. Patchy can tank the gene pull. So I think Bobby is definitely the biggest threat here. So as the gas closes in, I think Zeta are grouping up quite nicely. But that's exactly what Bobby wants here. You can see they're really, really grouped up. Good taps overall there from early round and from Sans. Batman gets their pull, but doesn't really have anyone to back him up. So yeah, I think it's quite clear that early round have a good strategy here. They want it to get to the final circle. It seems like their composition is just a lot better there. The more grouped up they are, the more value they're going to give to Bobby, the more value they're going to give to Sans. So yeah, I think what they want to try and do here is win this before the gas closes in, or at least get some overall map pressure. So yeah, map pressure is definitely on the side of Zeta here. So Tempo uses his hypercharge, and I think funny enough there, if he didn't pop hypercharge, he would have got that guaranteed kill. I don't know why pros still do it. I just think it's just like a thing encoded in them with Brock, where they just use hypercharge. The normal super's just better. You literally 2 rockets would have hit. If it's normal super, probably 99% sure that he would have got that kill here. So early round we're just being forced all the way back here. But if it can actually manage to push up here with Bobby's hypercharge, they should be looking good. But yeah, Zeta are just completely dominating at the moment. I don't really remember this too much, but Patchy's going to pop hypercharge here, trying to get some pressure. Gene pops hypercharge as well. Again, another mistake. Is there even at any point using a hypercharge super there? Bobby uses hypercharge. Just get some good damage. Just take down the Brock as well here. Good clutch overall. Sans is on 8 HP, so not looking the best. I mean, Sasuke and Batman just got so much health. There's just no way that early round are going to win this one. So looking good for Zeta so far. Honestly, I feel like they should have probably won the gem grab set, and they're looking strong here. They could have, I don't know, closed things out a lot earlier, it seems. Again here. So in terms of the overall strategy, I'm interested to see how early round adapted to this. I remember all the sets except for this one, so I'm learning with you guys. Literally, I'm doing a Sans. I'm learning with you. So again here, Colt against Brock. Brock pretty much always beats out Colt because of the range. But with buffies, I mean, Colt only needs like maybe a couple of shots or maybe his gadget to connect, and then he can definitely deal with a Brock. But yeah, I don't know. The Colt pick hasn't really been serving early round any dividends at all right now. Like, Brock's going to open up the map a little bit. It just seems like everyone's kind of getting outranged here. But I think as the game goes on, Patchy's giving Bobby a lot of health. Again, it can look pretty good. So I think, again, the key here, I mean, it's not much really happening, but I think Sans is just trying to not feed Gene any super, and just trying to get into a good position as the map closes in. He's doing a great job of staying alive there. And so many, like, they're just so focused on Sans that Bobby and Patchy get into a great position and they can win that one. So I think when both teams group up, I think the Pierce comp is just better because Gene and RT are just tickling. All the firepower comes from either a Gene pool or the Brock shots. So yeah, RT's not really going to bother a Ruffs or a Colt with speed, or, you know, Bobby's just got too much aura. No, it's Pierce. He's going to be able to tap RT a lot easier. So they're going to group up. It's going to give one tap to Bobby here. He's going to try and work towards his hype charge as quickly as possible. Again, both teams are just, it's just typical knockout. Knockout is just so boring to cast, but once the gas closes in, it gets a little bit more interesting. Side tempo super going to go down. It's going to get Bobby very weak. I was a bit scared for him there, especially with the RT mark, if he was going to do anything here. Sans is doing a great job of peak shotting there. Somehow manages to get the kill. Bobby's in a 1 versus 2, but yeah, it's just too much taps there from Zeta. They've got too much early control. It's just hard for Colt to do anything on a map game mode outside of Heist that has so many walls in. So he's going to go for the clip there. Does get the gadget, gets the slow, and then gets he got so many clips onto side tempo. I bet Sans was really screaming then. Like, imagine full clip inside tempo. That must be, I don't know, that's probably a bigger achievement than was at that point. So Patchy and Bobby get Suzuki to 56 health. They've got to be feeling like they're hard done by there. But they've got them pinned back here. They've also got Ruffs who can shoot around the walls. They've got Pierce that just packs so much power. The hyper charge is just going to be fed there. That's going to be the kill. And so they're just looking insane at the moment. There's not much that they can really do here. Zeta, gas going to close in. Suzuka's going to try his best, but with sandbags and everything else, yeah, we're not going to be able to find that one. So early round now looking pretty decent. They need to finish this one off because you can't give Zeta the lead. Like 2-1 against Zeta, it's just not going to look good, is it? And especially with, I'd say, pretty balanced comp. I think they probably have got the better comp by the looks of things. They need to close this one out. So if you're Zeta, what even can you realistically do? Again, I feel like they're grouping up a little bit too much. I think as the game goes, that's exactly what early round got. It's quite clear. Early round wants the game to go towards the end. They have more health. They've got rough sandbags against both RT and Gene. They know that they've got this late game pressure. So I'm unsure from this gameplay why side tempo or just any of them aren't just pressuring up that bit more here. Again, we're not really getting the matchups here. Gene's getting on the roughs. I think Brock's just got to follow around the Colt as much as possible here. But yeah, the gas is closing in now. This is again looking pretty good for early round. Suzuka does have super, but Bobby's super is going to go down. There's going to be a lot of pressure. Sans gets some great clips, and the pinches from Ruffs and Colt as the gas closes in, it's just far too much. So normally Ruffs again is he does counter some snipers with his sandbags, but you know, on a knockout, I really would have thought that Zeta would have had a bit more dominance in the early game. Again, maybe they've realized here they need to open up the map as much as possible. It's quite clear here. Batman gets to pull here, but he's going to overextend a little bit. That's a really, really clutch play there from Sans. Gets the gadget, gets the killer as well. And yeah, I mean, really amazing heads up play. If you didn't trade out that kill, that was definitely the round going their way. But again, you see there, Zeta just going to get the double pinch in. And that's just too much. I think without Pierce is definitely the win code for early round. It feels like remove Pierce from the comp. Colt and Ruffs together just doesn't really scream at much. But Patchy's done an amazing job. He's already got a hyper charge. He's going to feed that to Bobby here. And all Bobby needs to do is get his hyper charge super, and he's going to win the round. And as you can see, hyper charge super is going to connect onto 2 of them. It's going to get the kill. And that's going to be the game and set going to early round there. So 2-1 up by the minute. They're looking pretty strong. They, especially with that composition, things just looks amazing for them. So yeah, let's move into the next one. All right, guys, jumping into set number 4, we have Sneaky Fields. So I'll run through the draft, and I don't want to ruin too much, but I think I think this set absolutely was just a big outdraft on the side of Zeta. So yeah, we got Patchy on the Sandy. I mean, Sandy first pick's a bit sus. I mean, Sandy's good on Sneaky Fields, but it's definitely going to be a more comfort pick for Oli Realm, in my opinion, because Sandy isn't that meta. He's good as like, I don't know, counter pick. Can be good into assassins and tanks to feed from them, but then also, using that super to gain control. But when you're first picking Sandy, it's just like, well, we could just pick a brawler like Ruffs or, a brawler like Mo, like we do here. Keep your distance, don't feed them as much as possible. And that's just going to be the strategy here. So we skip through the draft here. We can see an Otis, and then very standard Otis tank counter. You got Sandy that can do a little bit of both, bit of control, bit of pressure. Yeah, another ad. Anyways, Otis, and then we need a pressure brawler here. So this is where they go wrong. Absolutely. I know, again, like comfort, different teams had their brawlers, but absolutely, I didn't agree. I didn't agree with Trunk here. Trunk, you've got to be using Trunk against. It's like Jackie. That's when you use Trunk. So to counter, like, maybe they were scared of a Shade for last pick, but I don't think Zeta are a type of team to go Shade last pick, in my opinion. I don't know. They had to have been worried about something to go Trunk to counter. I mean, Mortis is in play as well, but I don't think Mortis would have been that good. They were clearly scared of something, but yeah, Trunk literally, in my opinion, only used to counter Shade, Mortis, all of these other brawlers. So they're going to go last pick Rico, which I saw this draft. You just know it's immediately over. I thought there was no chance. I mean, we've seen Bobby, I think, on this exact map, was it in monthly finals against Tribe? Like, they did have their chances, but again, personally, I'm not vibing with it. Again, these are the pros. They practice and they play whatever they feel is better. But to be honest, I'm going to actually skip a lot of this because I just don't. I kind of just switched off, to be honest. I switched off with a lot of this game. Actually, no, that was a tech issue. So let's scroll through this. I don't know how long this tech issue lasted for. I think it's quite a while, to be fair. So let's try and get back on it. There we go. Right. So yeah, in terms of the draft overall, I think the only way they can do good is to win the first interactions, and they're just getting pinched. Like Mo into Sandy, it's just so free. You've got Chester that is pretty good into Otis most of the time, and then like, what is Trunk good into? What is Trunk actually going to do? Trunk's just going to feed everybody supers, and yet Trunk can kill Mo when Mo was without super, but realistically, what is that going to do? So yeah, I'm gonna actually just skip a lot of this, guys. I don't normally do this, but I can't normally skip when I do this live. Of course, I'll just talk through it, but after watching it already, I don't really want to bore you guys with what happened. I mean, we did have a bit of a play here from Bobby. Bobby tanks a lot. He can run in, and then earlier on get the goal. So a bit of life, but that's only when they've got Sandy super on respawn. That's just the best bet. That's about the only way they can actually create a goal. But now Chester has hypercharge. Tampo has hypercharge on the Rico. He's going to pop that. Not get the most value here, but Batman's going to pop a hypercharge. Going to get the kill. Going to cycle through as well. Bobby goes forward. Again, maybe a slight mistake there, because if he would have maybe supered to the right, I think maybe he might have got a shot on him. I don't know. But yeah, that wasn't really looking the best for them. But I'm still surprised he even got a goal. Again, I think the strategy is just completely on the Sandy to get super, Bobby to get hypercharge, but realistically, is that really enough for them to win the game? So again, I'm just going to skip through some moments here because it's very boring and painful to watch when a team just gets outdrafted this painfully. It's like, I don't know, it's just complete suffering. Honestly, this is like a 90%, 10% draft. And again, this is like a thing where maybe you're led to believe in scrims or just, again, going through your comfort that these types of compositions will work, but it's just quite evident. I mean, again, there are opportunities. Bobby goes for the super here, and I really felt like he probably could have scored there. I'm actually going to rewind that and double check myself here. I think Bobby should have probably gone through it. I reckon he would have scored that. There's a slight hesitation. I think he would have scored there. I think he should have scored. It's close, but I think Bobby himself would agree that that was probably a moment he should have scored in. And now the ball's in the corner. Sandy's just getting pinched like crazy. They've got full map control. How on earth are you going to break through? Again, I'm not going to bore you guys with this gameplay. You're just literally wasting your time watching this because they've got complete ball control. Like, yeah, Oli Realm just give up here. Zeta just completely diff them. There's a couple of opportunities, but I think I just don't think there's really a chance for early round of winning this one for a draft. So let's hop into set 5. Jumping into set number 5, we have Open Business. So first pick, Lumi. I don't know, Lumi's just so incredibly strong on this map. Even, I mean, people say that like assassins counter Lumi, whatever else. I still feel like Lumi doesn't get counted that hard. If it's a bushy map, yes, but Lumi can still just deal a lot of damage. So the thing that early round went wrong with here, they went with Stu and Finks. I don't know, maybe they should have gone something a bit better against the Lumi. I was actually thinking straight the way with early round. I was thinking, Kenji should be good on this map. Kenji can be good to apply pressure on a brawler like Lumi or even like a Mina. And, you know, Zeta, they pick up Mina themselves. Again, like straight away, I was thinking early round, if I pick Mina, I think Kenji would be fire into this. And then they go with Kenji. So, yeah, this is a big mistake from early round. I'm going to skip to it. And they go with Shade. So Shade is a comfort brawler. And you might think to begin with, okay, Shade, you know, into Mina, into Kenji, that's not the worst thing in the world. That's not the worst thing in the world. But what you're about to witness is just some of the most disgusting gameplay you'll ever see from Zeta. They just play it so perfectly. They literally think Shade, I don't know, they just completely ignore him. And Shade just can't get any supercharge. Shade without supercharge is completely pointless. I mean, like a Stu and Finks together as well, I think was just definitely overkill. Both of them together, Finks doesn't, I don't know, like some people consider Finks as a tank counter. He's not really a tank counter. He feeds a lot of super from the tanks, but you can't run into a Mina and a Kenji and kill them with Finks. You just can't. And yeah, this is just embarrassing at this point. Again, I'm just going to skip through. Sans just can't get any super. They're just keeping their distance so well against Sans. He finally gets super, uses it there, and that's just completely over for that round. And that's just tail. Again, it's very anticlimactic. You think set number 5, this should be very sweaty, but the last 2 sets that I watched, honestly, is some of the craziest outdrafts I've seen, but also just such good discipline from Zeta to not feed Sans no matter what. Like he's starving out here. Like I bet he's absolutely screaming. Well, I don't think you should be raging much when you're competing, but bro, if this was one of his ranked streams, he would be cursing everybody out. Like, everybody's just running it away from bro. He just can't get into the game. And Zeta are playing it perfectly. Now, this strategy was absolutely insane. They've surely got to have prepared for Sans' Shade. And, I mean, this is what you got to do against a Shade. You just can't feed it super. And this is what my ranked randoms don't understand with a brawler like Shade, and why I find him so frustrating. But this is exactly how you counter him, guys. If you guys want to learn how to counter, just watch this gameplay here from Zeta. Complete masterclass. Yeah, if you get span on, I mean, yeah, that was humiliation. I mean, after all that, I honestly thought early round would win this, but those 2 last drafts, honestly, early round just gave themselves 0 chance of winning that one. So if you're early round found, you'd actually get some type of hope from that, because you'd think, okay, if early round draft better, I mean, just draft anything, like even a small percentage better, they have such a better chance of doing anything in the latter stages. But yeah, they'll be shooting themselves in the foot there, because now they're going to be facing off against Humble in the quarterfinals. Humble, in my opinion, and a lot of pros' opinions, are still the best team right now. So yeah, you would have probably been facing off against, well, you wouldn't face off against Bounty Hunters, which, you know, no offense to them, they really didn't look that strong. So that would be near enough a free path to the semifinals for Bobby. But now he's going to face Humble. So yeah, that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Hope you enjoyed this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and see you guys next time.